there you are. Okay, I'll go live now. Hello and warm welcome to the universe of SAP Business Technology Platform in a nutshell. I am Tanya Dindal from the Global User Groups organization. My colleague Toros Alijan will unfortunately not be joining us today. He is on a well-deserved vacation this week. This webcast is part of a series covering major aspects of SAP BTP. Today's session will focus on application operations beyond development, monitoring, and automation for your cloud app. Our expert, Bizar Simeonov, product manager for application operation services at SAP, will share best practices on monitoring and technical operational automation and much more. But before I hand over to our expert, I would like to inform you about BTP-related sessions that might be of interest to you. The SAP BTP Customer Value Network, also CVN, is dedicated to provide you with the latest information on SAP strategy and innovations, thus allowing you to make important connections to topic experts, peers, and technical content. The next session will be episode 12 of the SAP Garage series on December 7, right after our last session of our series. The topic of episode 12 will be enable supplier collaboration across SAP and Microsoft Azure ecosystem using SAP BTP. I will share the link shortly. In addition, there are regular sessions hosted by Toros Alijan and colleagues where you can meet and exchange with SAP experts and peers alike. I will share these links as well. And with this, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Bizar Simeonov.
Hey, hello everyone. Nice to have the opportunity to prepare that session for you, and really thank you for the webcast series organization for providing the time to present our two products, which are the Automation Pilot and the Alert Notification Service. I have prepared a short demonstration, but before going to that demonstration and see how those two products interact with each other and also with other applications and services within the SAP BTP, I also have prepared a walkthrough, a PowerPoint presentation in order to get a better understanding about their capabilities and probably potential other use cases. So this is why I'll start sharing my screen and going through the PowerPoint presentation. Right. And just going to full screen. Right. So we're going to talk about the application operations in the SAP BTP beyond the development. Why so? We're going to check out in the upcoming slides why we say beyond the development. And as I mentioned, our main focus is going to be the Alert Notification Service and the Automation Pilot. Both can be consumed within the SAP BTP. But before going into the details, let's just have a quick look into the SAP Intelligent Enterprise strategy. And as you see, based on that slide, more or less, we see three layers, which are the technology, solutions, and the business processes. And the idea behind that is that all of those three layers, they come all together, and we can provide different type of solutions in order to bring the enterprise into the next level. And if we go in further details, where exactly our products are fitting, the two products which we're gonna see in action in the upcoming minutes. So they fit into the business technology platform, and if we go further and we go by a drill down level, so we're gonna talk about the app development and especially the automation. Why? Because with the monitoring capabilities and with the automated capabilities from the automation pilot, we can improve your activities when it comes to the application development, boost the performance of the DevOps teams, and really automate the whole process and provide resilience and much more greater availability of your services or cloud applications. So, yeah, and of course, if we look also into the intelligent enterprise strategy, we understand the big picture, the end-to-end business process integration. So the SAP technology platform, including the integration suites as well, fits into that one. And because also the alert notification and the automation pilot provides capabilities for the integration suite. So with our products, you also can plug them into that possible use case. And yeah, we also have roadmaps for both services, which are available. So end of the day, the idea is to help the different companies to transform their business and following the SAP integration strategy. So yeah, from the big picture, drilling down into the the details. So how actually we would like to help our customers be successful. So let's say that we have the SAP BTP, and you guys, you're building the complex application or complex platform, which are dependent on multiple microservices or different cloud applications, as we see here. These cloud applications, they're communicating to databases, and on top of it, the databases are and the applications, they're dependent on backing services, maybe SAP BTP, but it might be the case that we go beyond the BTP scenario. So yeah, everything, it is expected to work as a charm, but we know that in reality, we might face some potential issues. So why so? Because we all are great developers. Sometimes the applications might be crashing, or maybe the databases or services, or we can experience the network outages, making the connection between the application and the databases, or the connection between the application and the different BTP services inaccessible. And even on top of it, we might be facing a situation where we have multiple repetitive actions. In example, provisioning different subdomain subscriptions, let's say different type of BTP resources which are needed for our development and testing process. So all of that will require a lot of time. Why so? Because in case we are reactive and we are just jumping and fixing the issues which are which might occur, the ones which I listed here post factum, that means that we're gonna be causing downtime of our services and applications, and also we're gonna waste a lot of time. And at the end of the day, that's not good and efficient for anyone. On top of it, like if we manually try to fix the issues when they happen, or we manually build our dev environment, also that will increase our effort. So obviously, we have to come with an idea how we can improve that situation. So this is why our main goal, which we try to solve within our team and our products, it's to bring solutions for DevOps and site reliability engineering teams for keeping the systems up and running to the maximum level, as much as it is possible, of course. On top of it, we would like to provide tools So those teams, they can define recommended actions and store them somewhere. So those recommended actions, they might be for fixing potential issues that occur, or maybe particular policy for provisioning dev accounts within the BTP. So they might be a lot of different stuff. And on top of it, like once we have the systems up and running and we have the recommended actions, so we would like to provide tools so we can automate the whole process in case there's a potential issue that might happen, to be able to detect that issue before actually it happens. In case we would like to apply recommended actions to fix that potential issue or to automate our work, we would like to apply those recommended actions automatically and be able to configure, of course, the whole process. So we need to have a trigger when those automated actions should be executed. Pretty much those three main layers are our main focus, and we bring solution for it. And how that came obviously with the automation pilot and the alert notification service. So let's see and go through some quick facts about the alert notification service. Actually, based on the name, you might be already guessing that it is a real-time alerting engine, and it is a cloud service. It can be enabled, as I mentioned, in SAP BTP, but also it is covered in different flavors, such as public and private network as well. So main capabilities within the alert notification service is that we provide a UI. So you guys, you can filter out the quality events which are interesting for you, because we might be receiving hundreds or even thousands of different events. So we really need to focus on the ones which are important. And furthermore, our service offers a catalog of predefined delivery channels, such as the most trivial one, emails, but on top of it, we have Teams. We have different service ticketing systems. We're going to see them in a second. And of course, we can work to different tools to automate the whole process. And yeah, an important topic, it is from where we collect that these cloud events, which the alert notification service processes and builds the alerts. So the answer, it is from SAP BTP, but not only, because the scope of the alert notification service can be extended. So we can collect those cloud events out of different hyperscalers, which you might be using, or some custom applications which are outside the BTP. And yeah, if we need to visualize the different type of functionality and actually make it more comprehensive, let's jump into this let's say overview. So on the left side, the one that you see now, we have listed the different event providers. So they are actually distributed in different categories, as you see here. So let's start from the SAP BTP runtime and SAP services, such as we have a native integration with the Cloud Foundry, Neo, Kima. If you explore our help documentation, the links for both alert notification service and the automation pilot have been shared to you. And they're accessible in the chat in the YouTube. So you can navigate and actually find out the native integration and what type of events can be consumed out of those services. Of course, I need to outline the SAP integration suite I already have mentioned, but we also have native integration with Cloud Transport Management, HANA Cloud, mobile services, and many more. And of course, we want to see how that works in reality during the demo. Then we can consume events from third-party/external systems, such as Dynatrace, Kibana, Grafana, Catchpoint, Prometheus. The integration, it is also listed within the help documentation. So in case you want to build a more complicated flow, in example, an event in Dynatrace to be firing an alert, then that's possible by ingesting an event from Dynatrace to the alert notification service. Then an action should be configured within the alert notification service, and then that action will be executed by the service itself. Yeah, the hyperscalers I already mentioned this, so I wouldn't spend time, but yeah, we are supporting some of the services from AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud as well. All of this, it is described within the documentation. And last but not last, based on the importance, of course, it is that we support the REST API. So pretty much you can book any custom application which can, independent on where it is hosted and where it operates. So through the REST API, it can ingest a custom event into our alert notification service. So that being said, let's assume that we have a complex solution, or maybe not that complex, but an event source that provides a lot of events. So within the alert notification service, the filtering happens. We want to see how that works in reality through the UI. And then based on some logic and filtering that we configure in the alert notification service, the alert notification service can deliver the alert and can trigger some automated actions. So on the right side of that slide, we see the different actions and reactions actually from the alert notification service. So yeah, so based on that, the alert notification service can fire an event / alert and can notify your ops team or support IT team, firing an email, creating a Slack message, or ingesting an event in Teams. I also have prepared some different examples so you can see those in reality. Furthermore, the alert notification service can actually communicate and create content within different SAP strategic ops platforms, such as SAP Solution Manager, Focus Run, or SAP Cloud AOM. I also have prepared a separate slide for the Cloud AOM, so we're going to see further details about that. A really important feature is the automated reaction. So we can create a chain of different actions. Event that it's raised, alert detected by the alert notification service, and then the alert notification service can fire expected remediation action between, let's say, if the event is a technical one, it might be the automation pilot, or maybe you can call the workflow service in case you want to follow with some particular business event. Nevertheless, as well, the alert notification service can create incident in your support ticketing system, such as PagerDuty, VictorOps, Jira, ServiceNow, through a webhook, let's say. And as well, as I mentioned, webhooks, pretty much if you'd like some particular action to be fired by the alert notification service, but you don't see your system within the ones which are visualized here, if that system supports HTTP webhooks, that is still possible. So you can plug it and be part of the chain as well. So that was the quick overview about the alert notification service. Let's jump into the SAP automation pilot. Yeah, I already mentioned that we automate through that application different scenarios, but the quick definition is that it represents a low-code, no-code automation engine. Why we say that? Because it has a UI which is quite intuitive in our understanding, and we provide a lot of capabilities to build different type of automated reactions and commands, actually. So you go in the automation pilot and you can modify different commands and execute automated sequences, or maybe create your own scripts which will be executed in a serverless manner. So in order to optimize the whole process and bring further capabilities and actually save time for our customers, we provide a catalog which are part of the automation pilot, and we're gonna see that in a second. So yeah, out of that catalog, you can consume already created commands and build and use those commands to build the different parts of the automated sequence that you would like to be executed. End of the day, as well, we want to address different use cases such as daily ops task, alert remediation, lifecycle management hooks. On top of it, we can schedule different type of maintenance tasks. And many more. Really, here the scope, it is unlimited because it is really powerful application. And yeah, let's see how that works through a quick overview diagram similar to the alert notification service. So the automation pilot, it is here, and as I mentioned, here we have the commands provided by the SAP. Just few examples here, such as HTTP operations or some particular BTP Cloud Foundry commands, and many more. Similar to the alert notification service, I have shared the link to the documentation and the Discovery Center for the automation pilot. So really do not hesitate, meanwhile, to check out the different type of commands which are part of the automation pilot provided catalog and can be used just by logging into the automation pilot. Of course, as we don't like to limit our users just simply to provided commands, you can build your custom commands by maybe you can reuse some of on the provided commands and customize them, or maybe you can start from scratch and build more complicated scripts and store those commands within the automation pilot. So this is why as well we have catalog, which is own catalog. We name it own catalog, and it is open to our users to play with it and build the commands and their custom commands and store them within that own catalog. So yeah, once the command that you're interested in, it is available and it is part of the automation pilot. Never, despite the question whether it is a provided command or it is a custom one, here in that use case, it doesn't matter, but let's say it is available. Then we have different options that command to be executed. So it might be the case that manually someone from your DevOps, site reliability engineer team or support team triggers that command. And then, once it gets executed, of course, it can interact with SAP BTP resources similar to the alert notification service, such as HANA Cloud, transport management. We can create sub-accounts and many other the resources within the BTP, and then so on and so on. As well, of course, the automation pilot can interact with third-party ops tools such as Dynatrace, Jenkins, and any other CI/CD tools, and so on. And similar to the alert notification, we are not just bind to the SAP BTP, but in case you would like to use the automation pilot in order to trigger any and actually to execute command towards any custom service, yes, that is possible by simply using the powerful REST API, which is supported by the automation pilot. So yeah, that's the use case where, as I mentioned, we have that guy here who is part of the DevOps team and who manually triggers the command. Of course, we have options that command to be scheduled. So in case it is like a maintenance routine or something that it is expected to happen on a routine basis, we have the built-in automation pilot scheduler. It is a UI, so which by playing with it, you can specify when exactly that command to be executed. And on top of it, we have the Ops platform or cloud services, which might be firing automatically that command. In that case, maybe it is SAP Cloud AOM in case you use that one, or the alert notification service, or you can use like webhooks. So based on a particular action through the webhook and of course an authentication that should be set up, that command can be fired when a particular event occurs. So yeah, as we see, really a lot of different type of capabilities and functionality we have here. And where our products fit within the bigger picture when we speak about observability and supportability of the SAP BTP. So we have different layers. Let's say SAP Ariba, SAP Concur, they're within the application layer. We have the Ops Insights layer, as I mentioned, Cloud AOM, maybe it is like a third-party APM system or like your custom Ops setup. And at the very bottom, we have the platform and the data layer. And we have the observability and the expert tools. And as you might be guessing, here it goes. The authentication service, it is part of the observability service, and the automation pilot is part of the expert tools. And the idea is that as bringing those, we can be part of your observability and supportability strategy. So yeah, I mentioned Cloud AOM as an SAP Central Ops platform. Of course, the Cloud AOM has an integration with different BTP services, such as the Landscape Information Service, Cloud Availability Center, and so on. But on top, we have the SAP Alert Notification Service, which can be ingesting the events. And furthermore, the Cloud AOM, similar to the automation pilot, can be triggering particular services as transport management service, automation service, and many more. But on top of it, like it can trigger commands which are already available and part of the SAP automation pilot. So really, it is a good option for to explore a use case where you have Cloud AOM, a central ops platform, and being integrated to the alert notification and the automation pilot. So yeah, let's see and deep dive into possible use cases for the alert notification and the automation pilot. Pretty much for that demonstration, I have prepared 2 use cases, and we're gonna go through those quickly. So just let me explain on the first use case. The first use case, we have SAP UI5 web application. It is already deployed on BTP Cloud Foundry runtime. I have built that application through the SAP Business Application Studio. Of course, we're gonna go and modify some part of it and redeploy it to the BTP Cloud Foundry to see how easy it is to use the Business Application Studio and the low-code, no-code capabilities. That being said, we can consume our UI5 web application, and once it gets deployed to the BTP, our main goal here is to make sure that the application is up and running, and and it is accessible. Meaning that in case something happens and for some reason the application it's not accessible, because based on our experience, there might be different situations. As I mentioned, network outages, maybe backing services are not accessible for some reason, and then the application or particular functionality of that application is not accessible. Then we would like to be notified immediately, and not to our customers to find it out and then to be a kind of reactive about that issues. So how we achieve that? I have created a health check endpoint, which is a dedicated HTML5 file within that application, and which I'll be using for the automation pilot to call that health check endpoint regularly. Why I have separated that endpoint, health check endpoint separately? Because the assumption is that different sources of that application might be under a particular part of authentication. And of course, it is possible through the automation pilot to go and authenticate using token, but for the demo purpose, I wanted to that endpoint health check endpoint to be accessible from all the world, and therefore to make sure that really there's no issue with the authentication and simply the application is up and running. Then the automation pilot, by calling that health check endpoint, it will get some response code that it is returned by the web server, and based on some conditions checks which are also built within the automation pilot, we're gonna trigger particular action. In our use case, if everything is fine, the automation pilot is gonna create a custom event to the alert notification and then firing an alert. And in case the app is not accessible, the automation pilot will trigger a separate event to the alert notification, and then we're gonna notify that the app is not accessible. The second use case, it is about automation pilot, alert notification, and a HANA Cloud. Because with the HANA Cloud, we have a built-in functionality to consume events within the alert notification service. And then from the alert notification service, this time, the alert notification service will be triggering a command, and it is not the way how it is here, but it's the way around. The alert notification will be triggering that command to the automation pilot to perform recommend detection and ideally fix the issue before actually impacts the performance of our HANA Cloud. The particular use case, it is about long-running SQL statements. So we have different severity level, which is specified by the HANA Cloud alerts definition, and we're gonna see how that works. So let's jump to the demos then. All right. So as I mentioned, let's start with the first use case. Okay. Here it goes. So the application that I have developed, it is a very simple one, of course. It is Cloud App BTP webinar application. It is accessible through my demo account within the SAP BTP cockpit. If I simply click on the link, that's the home page. Yeah, I have played with some logo and some basic text, so that it is what we have. Right, the session has been closed here. So what I try to do now is to access the business application studio. I have created a SAP Fiori development environment here, which is named BTP webinar application. And by simply clicking on that link, I will actually navigate to my code base and see what I was building. So here it goes with the application itself. It is a simple freestyle UI5 application, and it has one view, which is which is here, and furthermore, sorry, actually the view, it is here. Yeah. And yeah, as I mentioned, I would like to modify some parts of it and then redeploy just to show how easy it goes. So I will go and actually load the layout editor, which will bring capabilities to play with to play with the layout editing within my screen and actually without writing any type of code. So it's quite intuitive. Yeah, so in example, we see here the icon that I have placed. And in case we would like to make it bigger, let it be. Okay, that's maybe 3. It's gonna be the right value here. Okay, there it goes. Right, maybe I can add also some text area on top of it. So here it's a kind of an input text. All right. Then before going and actually through the deployment, I wanted to highlight, and since I'm already digging into my code base, I wanted to highlight on the health check endpoint, the one that I mentioned before. So here it is how I have created it. It's a simple HTML5 file. And yeah, it has some text within it, and yeah, it's really simple. However, kind of more complicated part, it is the access application JSON file, which is part of the configuration of the application content, which I modified in order to allow the automation pilot to call the HTML5 health check endpoint, and pretty much that's the change that I have introduced. So it says that I specified the source, and that's the health check endpoint. I specified the service that will be calling that source, and the method, it is get and post. I kept just post in case further more complicated functionality it gets introduced through that health check endpoint. In example, if you'd like to upload a file or something like that and be part of the health check monitoring. And the authentication type, it is none for that resource in comparison to the other authentication type, which is set as XSUAA. And obviously for that you need to authenticate, and it is more complicated, but still it is doable by creating and storing tokens within the automation pilot. So yeah, that being said, I'm good, and actually I can deploy the application. But before deploying the application, I need to build the package. So simply clicking and create the makefile, simply clicking on the MTA YAML file, and we see in our terminal the whole process has been started. And yeah, actually here it goes. The MTA archive has been generated. So now I need to deploy it. And yeah, in order to do so, I need to go to the application. I can deploy it with different commands, but I really like this one, this option. So it says Fiori Open Application Info, and that provides a really intuitive interface for your application, the one that you have built. It obviously, we see the application status, and then as different tiles, we also can navigate through different type of activities. And in our case, it's gonna be the deployment of that application. So I simply click on this tile, and the whole process of deploying the application has been started here. We see the different type of services that now are updating, fetching the data. Also, we see the target, which is this demo space within the organization, ANS staging on live. And yeah, in a couple of seconds, the whole process is gonna be completed. All right, process is finished. And we can actually now navigate and see the updated version of our application. If that it's not cached, if it is, I will open in a private browser. Just let's reload, and then I will access the application itself. All right, clicking on the link. Okay, I don't see the part that I have added. Okay, here I need to go through my authentication. Just give me a second. And get an access code. And voila, yeah. Obviously, the application was cached in the previous browser tab, and here it goes, the input text field that I have input. So if, as I mentioned, with the health check endpoint here, if I click it, yeah, it is also accessible, and we're gonna use that one after we have deployed the new version of our application in the automation pilot in order to execute that constant checks. So then let's go, and I will close the private browser. I won't need it anymore. So let's then go and see how the automation pilot looks like. And here it goes. Actually, within the dashboard, we see our recent executions, recent failure execution, and so on. That's the UI of the automation pilot. I have already enabled it in my BTP sub account. And here we're going to see the different options that we can explore. As I mentioned, we have the provided catalogs. And here in different subcatalogs, you can see all the different categories of commands that can be explored. So it is Cloud Foundry, Cloud Management Services, and so on and so on. I wouldn't go through all of this, but we provide really a big amount of commands, which by simply clicking on the commands icon here, you can see what is doable to be consumed even out of the box. So in my case, however, I have reused one command, which is in my case to build the constant the regular check to the health check endpoint. I had used the command which is part of the provided commands for HTTP operations. It is here, and it is the HTTP requests. So why I have used that one? Because out of the box, I already have specified the different input keys and the expected output keys. So as input keys, like we can use method, URL, body, client certificate, and so on and so on. Success response codes, I kept that one because it's part of my logic. And URLs and so on. An important feature is that we can build inputs which can be used as part of the input keys once the command starts the execution of that. So by doing so, it is quite easy to modify and keep a lot of inputs, and instead of just hard code these into your commands. In my case here, also you can create your own catalogs of inputs. So in my case, I have created a catalog which is called BTP Webinar Cloud Apps, Cloud App Inputs. And if I click here, yeah, I was playing with different endpoints. So yeah, my default endpoints, it's that one, the one that we have seen within the code and later on in our browser. I have specified method and also different type of methods as well. So going to the command itself, the one that I have created, it is health checks. Here it goes. So yeah, we see that it is based on the HTTP request provided command, but I have cloned that command and modified it. What we see here is that I already have used the method, and I specified the method to be get. I kept the response body transformer, and also I have the success response codes being part of the request. And here I have kept the default endpoint being part of the BTP webinar cloud inputs catalog. So then what I created, it is that part of that sequence of the command, which is the health check itself, which it's gonna be using the method get. And here we're gonna fetch the input URL. Yeah, actually that's the most important as of now. If we had tokens, we would fetch potentially the token as well. I also have specified output keys, and my output key is going to be the status, because I'm going to use the response for the status in order to build the logic behind that command. And furthermore, I have created another step of the command, which is obviously based on the output of the health check. I would like to create an event to the alert notification service. If I go back to the slide, yeah, let me just zoom it here. So based on the response code, the automation pilot should be providing different type of events to the alert notification service, whether or not the application it is down or it is up and running. So in my case, in order to do not break the whole application, actually I kept the positive use case. So here my condition, it is that I would expect that the output of the health check equals to 200, and then the automation pilot will be creating an event, a custom event to the alert notification that notifying everyone that everything is fine. Of course, we can crash the application and just change the condition, which as well, as I mentioned, we have a UI. It's quite easy to play with it. So we can just set it to not equals 200, and then modify the parameters within the custom event here. And then the automation pilot will notify the alert notification service that the app is down. And as an output here, yeah, I'm getting the number out of the step health check here. So of course, we can schedule that command to be executed depending on the particular amount of time, how frequently we would like to be executed. And as well, we can trigger it manually. Because of the testing purposes now, I will trigger it manually. And my expectation, I wouldn't change anything here. It should be fetching the data from the input catalogs good enough. So my expectation now is that it will finish successfully, and as an output value here, yeah, we're gonna get the status 200, which is good enough. So the part that it's missing now is that the automation pilot will be creating a custom event, but actually the alert notification service won't be aware about that custom event. Therefore, we need to go back to the alert notification service and configure a particular subscription for that particular use case. And just let me load the alert notification service. And we're gonna see how that works. So, all right. Yeah, that's the one that I'm looking for. So within the alert notification service, let me just go to that place here. So within the alert notification service, we have the options to bind the service to a particular application, or have or bind the alert notification service to automation pilot. So this is why I have created some service keys which are already part of the integration between the automation pilot and the alert notification service. And when that event happens within the automation pilot and the automation pilot detects that the application is up and running, the automation pilot is willing to create a custom event, and it pushes that event to the alert notification service using the endpoint of the producer API within the alert notification service. But the alert notification service won't be aware that we should be notified about that. So therefore, we need to build particular conditions and actions. But let's go and start first with the conditions. The conditions are a kind of filtering logic which will be looking for that particular condition to be met in any given event received in the alert notification service. If that logic is met, then we're gonna proceed. And if that condition is part of a subscription, then we're gonna proceed with the action. So in our use case, I have created custom alert automation pilot event here. And so that's a condition. And by simply going through the UI, I can specify a lot of parameters. In my use case, I have kept the event type, which is equal to test alert. And if we go back to my automation pilot data object that produces and pushes into the alert notification service API, which is this one, into the producer API, we're gonna see that, yeah, the event type equals to test alert. So yeah, that will be recognizing that the condition gets met. Then within the actions, yeah, I kept just for now some simple emails. So one it's for a status 200, another one it's for a status that is not 200. Of course, we can create a lot of other action types. And it is really intuitive. Simply click create and we see emails, Microsoft Teams, as I mentioned, PagerDuty, integration with the automation pilot, webhooks, and many more. Just to look how the status 200 email looks like. As well, we can play with the email templating. It is described in our documentation how that works. As of now, I kept it really simple by simply playing with the subject template for that particular email. Fine enough. Then if I go, I have the condition and I have the action, but and we see that these are enabled. But in order to create really a particular action that it's expected to be executed by the automation pilot, you need to bind both of the artifacts, condition and actions, into a subscription. Only by doing so, the automation pilot will matching the condition to a particular action. So in my case, that's the BTP cloud up and running condition, and it is really intuitive to build it. So yeah, we see that the event type, it is equal to test alert, and our expectation it is that in case that happens, we want to send that email to the recipients which are specified. We have a wizard form. So in case you are building your subscription, it is quite intuitive as well to do so. And you can choose out of the conditions and actions that you have created. So that being said, I will be going back to the automation pilot, executing the triggering actually the command over again. We see that it is up and running. All right. And then I will be looking into my email. All right. And I just have received the email. Here it goes. Yeah. So we see the details about the landscape, the resource details, the event body, which we have specified, and we see the timestamp and the event subject that we also specified with the automation pilot. And the whole beauty behind of that one, actually, it is the fact that like by just doing it manually, it wouldn't make sense, but we can actually schedule it. So simply click on the scheduled execution. Here.
Peter,
Yeah.
a quick heads up, we only have 5 minutes left.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's really the last bits. So yeah, the status here, it is disabled. Simply we're gonna enable it, and of course we can specify a lot of parameters which will be overridden in here, but in our case we don't want to do so. And what we would like to specify, it's how often that command to be executed. So yeah, let's say we want to be executed each 5 minutes. It's the minimum amount of time that the command can be executed. So this is why I kept that configuration, and it is enabled. Just let me see. Yeah, it is enabled. So within the executors, in the next 5 minutes, we're gonna see that actually the command will be executed automatically by the automation pilot, checking whether or not the application it is accessible. So just going really quickly, and I will execute a long running statement on a SAP HANA Cloud that is already prepared, just to show another use case. So here it is the BTP webinar HANA Cloud that I have created. I have integrated that HANA Cloud to my automation pilot. And now I will be running, I will be executing an SQL statement, which is, as you see, will cause a long running alert by the HANA Cloud. So that's the running HANA Cloud. And here it goes the alert definitions within the HANA Cloud. And if I click on the alert definition, by default, we have some thresholds within the HANA Cloud itself, but they can be adjusted. So for the demo purposes, of course, they come with some predefined thresholds. Obviously, they are much higher than those, but I have modified the long running statement alert definition for the HANA Cloud with those parameters here by simply clicking on the edit and how frequently that this check should be executed. Why? Because I would like to simulate really a long running statement going to the critical severity, and which will be detected here within the alerts. And then I have configured the alert notification service to detect that event and to call the automation pilot for an automated remediation. In our case, actually, we are fetching the data out of the long running statement, and then we are also terminating that SQL statement. So there are two separate commands, but I will show to you this one. So yeah, what we say is that we want first to find the statement. Yeah, I go. Then we get the connection ID out of the statement, because we can execute SQL statements from the active statements where actually we replace the statement ID. Then once we get the statement ID, we build the termination SQL, we execute the termination SQL command, and then we notify the alert notification service that actually we have terminated that statement. Just for your information, how that looks, actually, I will show it now. We're gonna see it actually in real time, but since we are approaching the time, so that's the automated remediation out of the automation pilot. And if we look into the event body, we say that this particular connection ID and the statement ID has been terminated, has been canceled. So yeah, pretty much that's the end of my demo. And actually you see in real time now, here the status it's running, that we are closing the connection. And as well, in real time, you see that the automation pilot performs the HTTP check.
Okay, Beezer. I think we've come to the end.
Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you so much for providing this excellent overview and insights into what SAP offers with regards to applications operations services. And of course, I would like to thank all attendees very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for today's session. And I hope we will see you again next week. Topic will be transport management. I have posted the link in the chat. So looking forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place.
Yeah, Tanya, just a quick question. In case there are any questions, do we have an option to answer those offline? Because yeah, I was planning at least to have 5 minutes, but it wasn't possible.
No problem. I have posted our emails in the chat, so people can contact us anytime. And there were no questions in the chat. Otherwise, I would have interrupted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will end the stream now.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye.